Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Monday Fun Day.
I stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image of me that you're used to. I look money, a king bee making honey, see? Deep state, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round, I'm the new sheriff in town. All my people rise up and stand your ground. Now drink up all the Diet Coke you got on your shelf. So just let me introduce myself, my name is Trump D. I like my mashed potatoes lumpy. Fake news, oh how I like to punk thee. That little sniper on the slow tin, he took a shot but he missed me. I don't fall, y'all, I'm like the ever ready bunny, still going strong and spunky. So put on your big boy pants, come on, let's do the dance.
The Trumpy dance is your chance to do the Trump.
Come on, do the Trumpy Trump. Come on and do the Trumpy Trump. Check me out, y'all, we do the Trumpy Trump. Just watch me do the Trumpy Trump. Do you know what I'm doing? We do the Trumpy Trump. Come on, everybody do the Trumpy Trump. It's time to do the Trumpy Trump, yeah.
A double Big Mac. That's right, folks. We are having a good time here on Monday Fun Day, celebrating the weekend, celebrating the aftermath of Juneteenth. For those of you who celebrate Juneteenth, you might recall that is the day that the Republican president freed slaves from their Democrat slave masters. That's right. I like kind of pointing that out because that was really kind of how it went down. Not lying, just kind of it. Anyway, it was for those of you who do not know, it is the day in which the Texas, when slaves in Texas were actually informed that President Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and it's now become a national holiday or a federal holiday. It's been celebrated in the Black community for years, for decades, but it's just now become a federal holiday just over in the last few years. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Independence Day. We're going to talk about America and do Democrats really hate America? We're going to talk a little bit about that and, who loves America or is proud of being American more. But we're going to get into all of that in a little bit. But first, we're going to start the show how we usually start the show, and that is with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks at Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. All you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net. Check them out today. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. In fact, Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Find out why by visiting them online at cragop.org. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You will find them at Hog Holsters. That's right, Hog Holsters, Hawg Holsters. That's right, spelled kind of funny, right? Yeah, no, it's spelled because they like helping Americans wear guns. Learn more about their product. All you got to do is go to hogholsters.com. And when you get there, make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there. And you're going to get your hog holster on discount today. And then finally, folks, it's that time of year, right? Probably once or twice a year, you're probably updating your gear. Well, now is the time to do it, folks. Matter of fact, especially if you are part of a group. So if you're the purchasing agent for your department or for your unit, maybe you're the head of purchasing for your Cub Scout unit or your Boy Scout unit or whatever. Maybe you just like doing it, whatever it is. If you do group sales or group purchases, you need to check out uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection of items. They have very competitive pricing, once again, especially when it comes to group sales, and they have phenomenal customer service. All you have to do is visit them, uscombatgear.com, the place where you will find all things tactical except the gun. And then finally, I want to encourage you, if you have not already done so, please take a moment and subscribe to the 2A newsletter. This is produced by 2A News, which is one of the producers of this program. Go there. First of all, just go to 2anews.us. That's 2anews.us. Hit the subscribe button here, and that'll allow you to put in your email address and subscribe. And here's the cool thing. You will get all of the 2A news you need every day, whether it's from Bearing Arms, whether it's from The Reload, whether it's from A Truth About Guns, Wherever there is gun news, trust me, we will find it and we will bring it directly to your inbox. You won't have to go looking for it. You will find it. You will find the various different gun blogs. You will find the vlogs. You will find the videos. You will find the explainer videos. You will also be able to find cool deals that will be available for you to purchase firearms and firearms accessories. All of it will be right there in your inbox. And here's the best part, folks. It is absolutely free. That's right. It is free for you to purchase. So go there, check them out. Please take a moment. Please take a moment. Become a subscriber of 2A News. Just go to 2A Newsletter. Just go to 2anews.us. Once again, that is 2anews.us. Now, also want to encourage you, if you're watching this program during the 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast or the 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast or, kind of anywhere during that time in between, you're watching us live, which means we're taking your comments. We would love to hear what you have to say about the program. Whether you agree with us or you disagree with us, we want to hear from you. It's actually more interesting if you disagree, because then we have the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
That's right, Des. They like to say, and Mike likes to say, we will mock you. Now, I say that not because we want to make fun of people, but just because it's fun. We like having a good time. We do. And best way sometimes to do that is to make fun of folks. Speaking of making fun of folks, let's talk a little bit about Democrats. And I know you saw the title. I know some of you were probably curious. You're like, do Democrats hate America? That was kind of the theme coming into this particular one. And I wanted to hit on this because once again, we just celebrated Juneteenth, and Juneteenth can be a very divisive holiday in terms of what people think. And when I say divisive, especially amongst partisans, there are those on the left who believe that, well, the 4th of July is black folks weren't free and we were all slaves at the time, so it doesn't really apply to us. So Juneteenth is when we really celebrate our independence, when we were really free. And then at the same time, you have some on the right who basically say, well, Democrats, they say, well, this is just some liberal left-wing holiday, and it's a way in which to tear down the 4th of July. And, we'll get into what I think about Juneteenth, but how do Democrats feel about America? Are they patriotic? Are they proud of being being American? And recent CNN poll would basically reveal that overwhelmingly Democrats are not proud of America or proud to be American.
Patriotism is not in good shape in America. So overall, according to NBC News in this very recent poll, 56% of Americans, 56% are either very or extremely proud of their country. But listen to the partisan gap. 29% for Democrats say they're extremely or very proud. 90% of Republicans. But that overall top line number of 56% who are either extremely or very proud, compare that to as recently as Donald Trump's first year in office during his first term back in 2017. Back then, that number of extremely or very proud American patriots was 75% of the American populace. And even that number, 75%, that was actually a historical low at that time. If you want to keep on going back and back to when similar questions have been polled over the years, you can go all the way back to a Gallup poll in January of 2001 that showed the time that nearly 90% of Americans were extremely or very proud. So from January 2001, 90% to 2017, first year of Donald Trump, goes down to 75%. And now it's gone down by roughly 20 points even since then to 56%. But again, this partisan gap is really, really something. So our pal Harry Enton over at CNN, the polling maestro over there, has some new graphics and some new next level polling on this question. Let's go ahead and listen to Harry Enton over at CNN.
One of the most stunning divides that we have seen. We're talking about polarization in politics. It even comes down to what you believe July 4th actually is. Like, what does July 4th mean to you? Celebrate America, friends and family time. Among Republicans, what do you see? You see the clear majority say it's a time to celebrate America, 65%. Among Democrats, however, the plurality disagree. Look at that. What do you see? Friends and family time at 42% versus just 24% who say that what it means most to them is to celebrate celebrate America. So even on the basic question of what July 4th means to you, we have Republicans on one end saying celebrate America, more of them say that, and Democrats on the other end saying that it means more to them to have time with friends and family.
So, and I wanted to go ahead and share with you just some polling. The polling numbers specifically mentioned by this is from NBC, and they're talking about the CNN numbers. I wanted to make sure that I shared those numbers directly with you. He kind of talked a little bit about them, but I wanted you to hear them from another news source so that you didn't think this was just a conservative talking point.
Again, 56% overall have an extremely or very much proud of the country. It's 29% among Democrats. It's 90% among Republicans. Look at that staggering gap between the parties. Look at it on the other end here. Only a little or not proud at all. It's 36% among Democrats. That number among Democrats, it's higher on the low end there than it is on the extremely proud end, and it's only 3% for Republicans. So a massive partisan divide on that question of being proud to be an American.
So now here's the funny part. So this is divided not just by party, but by age. In other words, the younger you tend to be, the less likely you are to be proud of America. Why is that? Because the way the educational system, the way the entertainment system has indoctrinated younger people into believing that America is the worst possible place on the earth, right? This is all stuff when you go and you look, when you look and you study world history nowadays in social studies, when you look at how America is talked about, when you look at the things that we are accused of doing, I mean, we are probably one of the few, if the only country currently right now in the entire world that actually teaches its young people through our educational and our academic system to hate America, right? We actually do. And the worst part about this is that this kind of now here's the funny part. The funny part is that for conservatives or for Republicans, the number stays pretty stable, right? Among Republicans, it pretty much stays somewhere between 90 and 95, up to close to 100% of Republicans are proud to be American, no matter who is president. In other words, we may dislike Joe Biden, we may dislike Barack Obama, we may not believe in the policies that they're doing and may believe that the policies that they are implementing are wrong for America, but we still are proud to be American. We still recognize American exceptionalism. We still recognize and believe that America is headed in overall, we want to make sure that it's headed in the right direction. But overall, we believe that it is a net positive or a net good in the world, right? We recognize that when it comes to charitable giving, we give more than any other country. Right? We put more out there in the world to help other nations out of our own pockets. I'm not talking about the government taking from us. Yeah, we give more of that. We do more foreign aid than anybody else in the world. But I'm talking about out of our own pockets. We give more out of our own pockets than anyone else in the world. And that's not just overall, that's per capita as well. Right? So we recognize that we have one of the highest standards of living in the entire world, where, our people in the United States of America who are considered low income, they have a roof over their head. They can potentially be obese. They have a cell phone and a flat screen TV. Those are people who are living in poverty here in the United States. We recognize all of the innovations that have come out of the United States that have been developed by our free market economy. We recognize that. And we recognize that, yeah, we've been guilty of doing some stuff we shouldn't have, some things that are nice. I mean, slavery is just one of the things that you can look at historically. Our historic treatment of Native Americans, in part, yeah, a lot of that was really, really bad. But overall, America, the United States of America, has been a net positive. Now, Democrats, on the other hand, they're always focusing on the negative, or mostly focusing on the negative. But when they have someone that they believe in that is president, when they have someone like a Barack Obama, well, then they become more proud to be an American. They become more proud to be an American because they watch Barack Obama go around the world and kowtow to our enemies, spit on and crap on our friends, and basically denigrate us as a country. Basically, like what Barack Obama did when he got elected president, he went around and did an apology tour. We apologize for being America. That's what he did. And he acted as if America was a net negative to the world, and he was going to change that by, instead of leading in the world, he was going to lead from behind. And as a result, we saw things go on in the Middle East. By the way, this was, by the way, a guy who earned a Nobel Prize because he was supposedly going to improve race relations. He was supposedly going to bring peace to the Middle East. He was supposedly going to do a lot of stuff. He was supposedly going to be the great unifier. Instead, he was the great divider. And you don't have to believe me. Go back and look at the polls. Race relations between the time that he was elected president to the time that he was no longer president dropped through the floor. Went through the floor, right? But while he was president, more Democrats were proud because, well, hey, at least we elected us a black president. Anyway, but that's the thing. So they don't really see, for example, the 4th of July as a holiday, right? As a holiday worth celebrating, because in many cases, once again, they are not proud of being American. One great example of that is Joy Reid. Now, Joy Reid doesn't have a TV show anymore because, well, let's just be honest, nobody cares what she has to think. Well, I take that back. I care what she has to think because what she says out loud is what many on the left believe. In particular, those who are part of the grievance left, right? Those who are part of the BLM woke left. It's important to hear, at least there are people out there who are willing to say out loud some of the stupid things that they believe. And here is one where she's actually talking about the 4th of July and why and her weird, odd belief that black people don't celebrate the 4th of July. I have no idea what she's talking about here, by the way.
Because in many ways, and with apologies to my dear spicy white friends, because I know that my white brothers and sisters do love a 4th of July. It is Independence Day. Everybody's barbecuing. It's a thing. I can promise you, black folks, we will take that day off. We will barbecue because we off. But black people, that nobody black I know is really excited about the 4th of July because it is what Frederick Douglass said it is. It is the celebration of slaveholders who freed themselves from having to pay taxes to the crown for their slave empire. And that is what it is. I mean,
so let's be clear. All right. And what's funny about this is that she is both right and she is wrong. In particular, when it comes to her quote from Frederick Douglass, because keep in mind when Frederick Douglass said this, right? Frederick Douglass said this when, guess what? We were still slaves. And he said it at the time because he's trying to point out that the American dream has not become the American dream for everybody. And he was right. But he also recognized at the time that as we were discussing, as the founding fathers were discussing the independence, even they recognized that the fight for independence was not done, right? In other words, until we lived up to the credo of all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, and among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the independence was incomplete. And so, for lack of a better day, and this is the reason why I support the idea of celebrating Juneteenth, because it was the culmination of that for all Americans. Now, admittedly, after that, right after the freeing of the slaves, and once again, we don't celebrate the day the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. We don't celebrate the day that the war ended and slaves were officially free. It literally was someone picked a day and, well, how about this day when people found out about it? So, okay. So I'm not necessarily, oh my God, it needs to be a federal holiday, but the acknowledgement that America actually sacrificed, I feel blessed to say sacrificed 500,000 of its of its sons, right? Overwhelmingly white, by the way, in order to see that the American dream, that the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was available to all Americans. That's what Juneteenth represents. Now, I don't think you can celebrate Juneteenth by itself, because you have to celebrate when we began working on the promise to the time that we made the promise for everybody, made sure it was available for everybody. So yeah, I have no problem celebrating Juneteenth. I don't celebrate it for the reason that Joy Reid celebrates Juneteenth. Because for her, she's like, well, that's when democracy was really created. No, it began before then. I mean, truth be told, democracy began back during the first democratic nation states, or I would say quasi-democratic nation states back in ancient Greece. And then there's also Rome. But truly here in America, it was a period of time, right? And we found our way through that to finally get done what needed to get done. So for those of you who say, well, it's a liberal left-wing holiday, I'm sorry, no. I will not. And by the way, it is also for those of you who are Republican, it is a culmination of the founding reason for the Republican Party, and that was to free the slaves. It is a recognition that the party of Lincoln, that was founded upon the importance of freeing slaves, of making sure all people were free here in these United States, it was a culmination of that promise. And by the way, as we went forward, right, whether it was Reconstruction, whether it was fighting against Jim Crow, whether it has always been Republicans who have fought for equal rights, for us to be judged by the content of our character, not the color of our skin. I'm not saying all Republicans, but it's always been the Republican Party. It's always been the Democrats, for different reasons, mind you, but it's always been the Democrats who have tried to divide us and tried to separate us and tried to judge people not on the content of their character, but on the color of their skin. That's been what Democrats have always tried to do. Before they did it because they wanted to control black people. Now they do it because they say, well, they want to help black people. But in reality, let's be honest, because their programs are pushed largely to promote government dependency, right? To promote and push a particular ideology onto our people as a whole, their new ideology, their now desire to control is not out of a desire to help, or maybe it is out of a desire to help, but it's still a desire to control. And that's exactly what it is that they want to do. And that's why they name call. That's why they beat up on. That's why they try to pass laws to keep people from being able to speak the truth. That's why they fight against free speech these days. Because they are not interested in helping people. Or even worse, they're not interested in allowing people to help themselves. They are more interested in controlling people. And if you are the ones who control the resources that people have access to, then you are the ones that control those people. And they don't want you in control of your resources. They want to be in control of your resources. And what they realize is, and this is why I call them the new neo-Marxist left, is they realize that the old Marxism that was based on economics didn't work because, well, the people who were part of the working class, who actually were interested, who were actually willing to work, who actually wanted or willing to work for better, they weren't interested in revolution, because when they actually realized that when they put hand to plow, they realized that they could own something, that they could bring value, and that they could be compensated for that value. And they realized this free market economy stuff works. That communism stuff don't necessarily work. So they realized once that didn't work and they disappeared into academia at Yale, at Harvard, at Columbia, at Stanford, then they realized, well, we need to find the aggrieved people, right? And then they started developing these new this new cultural Marxism, right? They found aggrieved people. They found aggrieved women, the feminists. They found people of color. They found people of different gender and gender identities and sexual preferences. And they said, they found the environmentalists, right? They found anybody who hates Israel. They found all of those people and they put them all together. And I will continue to tell you this. Take the time to go and read basic foundational books and documents on the new feminism, on transgenderism, on gender identity, on gender identity, right? On the what's it called? On gender theory. Gender theory. That's what I was looking for. Read critical race theory. Listen for the buzzwords. Listen for the things. It's all there. By the way, make sure you go back and read the Communist Manifesto. Once again, it's all there. All of it. It's not hard to see. All you have to do is look at it and actually read it. And you'll see all the terms, all the terminology, all the inferences, they're all right there. And the tools, the things that they want to do, the plots and yada, 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 the schemes that we tell you that they're doing, that I've told you that they are engaging in, I'm not pulling this out of my butt. There are books that are written. They've put their names on them. The difference is that most of us haven't read those books. We haven't read those books. But I'll tell you what, the people writing at the New York Times have. They don't even know that they've read those books, but they have. They don't even realize that they've gotten those terminologies, but they have. That's why when you hear people complain about critical race theory, and they're like, well, critical race theory is not anywhere. No, because you haven't bothered to go back and read. You haven't bothered to go back and read the policies that are put in places by places like California's Department of Education. You haven't read their policies. You haven't read the people that they reference on these things. The people who are the founding mothers and fathers and Z's and Zers of gender theory, of critical race theory, or of the modern environmentalist theory. You haven't taken the time because, well, we're kind of busy. Anyway, take the time to go look at it, folks. Trust me, it is all out there. It's all propaganda. And by the way, these folks are not pushing this propaganda on their own, right? They're getting help. And they're getting help none other than from, for example, the Chinese, as well as, by the way, companies that want to control media here in the United States. One example is an organization named NewsGuard. NewsGuard is an organization that is actually pushing, they want to use AI, right? They want to use AI in order to fact check media, right? They want to use it for censorship. The funny part is that they actually rate Chinese propaganda, stuff we know to be Chinese propaganda, they actually rate that as more reliable than conservative news media. This is a piece over at Breitbart. It says here, pro-censorship group NewsGuard is working to train AI models to fight misinformation, while rating Chinese state-owned media outlets as more reliable than American center-right news outlets, according to a report. The Washington Free Beacon reported that NewsGuard, the pro-censorship group operating a blacklist against conservative media, announced a tool in 2023 for AI companies. NewsGuard claims to rate credibility of news outlets based on the likeliness that the outlet would spread mis- or disinformation. The organization then sells its data to advertisers that would then discourage said advertisers from placing ads on disfavored media. Breitbart reported that that GDI claimed that top 10 outlets at most risk of spreading disinformation include center-right outlets, such as The Federalist, The New York Post, while those labeled as the least likely to spread disinformation included Huffington Post and ProPublica. NewsGuard reportedly encouraged AI companies to use its data during the supervised learning process, a technique that influences how AI models analyze information and coordinates AI outputs with developer preferences. The Free Beacon reported that NewsGuard would license its data in a machine-readable form that would be ideal to train AI chatbots to discourage the spread of disinformation. Now, mind you, let's be real what they're talking about. And this is, by the way, when you hear government talk about disinformation, when you hear the left talk about disinformation, 9 times out of 10, they're talking about conservative information. They're not referring to whether something is right or wrong. They're not referring to whether or not the data supports something. They are referring to, once again, whether or not it agrees with their principle or ideas. And once again, you can go back through it. This is a major concept of the left. This is one of the big things that they want to do. This is one of the big things of Marxism, is to actually control what the left believes, to control what you hear, what you believe, what is considered misinformation or disinformation. And they make it real simple. I mean, think about this. Do you know where the largest source of news information is for Gen Z? Anybody? Anybody out there? Anybody want to write in the comments? Anybody out there have any idea what the most common place is? You should know it. If you are a regular on this show, you should know exactly what it is. That's right. It's TikTok. That's right. Is the favorite source for those who are in Gen Z. That's where they get their news from. Well, who owns TikTok? ByteDance. ByteDance is a Chinese-owned company. Let me clarify. It is run by the Chinese Communist Party. It is, according to the Chinese Communist Party, it is a propaganda tool that they use against the United States. There is a reason why the information that is there is so biased against the United States. There is a reason why you don't see conservative news media a lot. It's hard to find conservative news media on there because the algorithms are written in such a way to discourage it. There's a reason why you see so much degenerate information on there. There's a reason why you see them promoting trends that hurt and harm American youth. And by the way, just so you know, a lot of those things, you don't see them on the Chinese version of TikTok. You don't see them talking bad about their own country. Nope, they're just talking bad about us. You don't see a lot of the reprobate stuff that you see on American TikTok on there. But their goal is to undermine us, to undermine our values, to destabilize our country, to destabilize our families. But they don't care. Y'all don't care. Anyway. So, folks. Anyway, my point being, be careful where you get your news, right? I hope that I am not the only place. I'll let you know about stuff. I'll hype you to stuff, but do me a favor. Don't just take my word. Look some of the stuff up. Look some of these articles up that we bring up, right? I just try and make it entertaining. But you're going to hear something. You're going to be like, dive a little deep in it. Take a little bit of time. Look into it. Find out if what I'm telling you is the truth and nothing but the truth. Find out. Take some time. We all need to invest in that time. I'll tell you, I'll be the first person to tell you. I do my research, and if I find out I'm wrong, I will admit to you that I am wrong. I've done it before. Done it right here on this program before. So anyway. Speaking of America haters, let's talk about Ilhan Omar, who, by the way, reported at one point that she was worth millions of dollars, and now all of a sudden her husband's company ain't worth all that much money? What is going on here? Are we being lied to? What's the story behind this? And this is a story over at Fox News. It says here, far from a millionaire, Ilhan Omar now claims a potentially negative net worth. Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar's latest financial disclosures show dramatically lower reported asset values than an earlier filing that listed millions of dollars in businesses connected to her husband. In a financial report meant to cover 2024, Minnesota Democrat claimed that she and her husband controlled between $6 million and $30 million in assets, figures that raised eyebrows as conservatives honed in on allegations of fraud among Minneapolis' Somali community. In a recently filed 2025 report reviewed by Fox News Digital, however, Omar revised the value of her spouse's assets down to at most $125,000, making the lower estimate of Omar's assets as reported in the disclosure just $20,000 and comparing it against both the low and high estimates of her debt, $30,000 and $100,000 respectively, would leave the Congresswoman with a negative net worth. Congressional Financial Disclosures report broad ranges, so the filings do not establish a precise net worth. Her husband has between $15,000 and $50,000 in credit card debt, while the Congresswoman has a student loan balance also worth between $15,000 and $50,000. Quote, the amended disclosure confirms what we've said all along. The Congressman is not a millionaire, a spokesman for Omar told Fox News Digital. The original filing was based on incomplete information from Mr. Minet's businesses, accountants in good faith and deference to professional judgment. It listed assets without liabilities, and it significantly overstated her husband's net worth. The accounting error created a misleading picture of far greater wealth. The Congresswoman amended her disclosures voluntarily as soon as the discrepancy was identified. The amended disclosures now have a complete and accurate, the spokeswoman added. Now, why do this? Well, they're doing this because now they're investigating ties between Ilhan Omar and some of these folks who basically have been convicted of or are accused of fraud in the Somali community and there in Minnesota. And there are some of those folks who have direct ties to her. And so they got to make it seem like, well, we don't have any money because if any of that money is deemed to have come from her, her role in helping to reduce the amount of red tape, reduce the amount of oversight on those programs that may have led to or opened the door to massive billions of dollars in fraud. And if she benefited from it at all, well, that could then come to light. I don't know because I have not looked at the financial disclosures enough to know whether or not the original disclosures are correct or whether or not the current disclosures are correct. What I do know is there are people who are going to be looking into it. There are definitely people who are going to be looking to expose the truth and find out which is it. And I'm looking forward to finding out which it actually is. So I'm not willing to throw her under the bus quite yet. To be honest, when it comes to many, many other things, she's kind of thrown herself under the bus. But when it comes to this particular item, I'm going to just say this. Ilhan Omar got some explaining to do. It's very simple. She got explaining to do. So we shall see. All right, folks. That now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog Holster today. You may have been reading in the news about the reflecting pool and what's been going on there. I just got to tell you, I am tired of hearing about the reflect. If there's anything that I couldn't care less about, and I couldn't care less about the reflecting pool. I really couldn't. There is less that I could care about it. But it seems to be a big thing that the left wants to talk about. Anyway, that having been said, according to Babylon Bee, fake news you can trust, reflecting pool algae surges ahead of Kamala in 2028 Democratic presidential polls. Wow. I guess the algae is going to be running against President Trump. Anyway, then you've also got to this story coming to you from the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. Newsom raises state income tax to 110%. He would do something like that. And then finally, now these are 10 questions on California's test to determine if you are gay enough. That's right. There's actually a state agency in the state of California who is deemed with determining whether or not you can qualify to be known as a gay-owned business. And they actually provide a certification. So here's some questions you have to ask in order to be certified. Once again, this is from the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust, meaning it's parody, but it is still funny. It says here, tell us about your favorite Coldplay concert. Interesting. Men, would you go on a date with this person? Show a photo of undercover James O'Keefe. Okay, that's hilarious. Would you consider visiting Canada? That would definitely make you gay. Please finish this lyric. Hello, Dolly. Hello, Dolly. It's so. All right, if you know it, I don't know it. Supposing that means you would qualify as gay. Are you now, or have you ever been a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers? Eddie, I think this may make you qualify, Eddie Steininger. This may mean you qualify as a gay-owned business in the state of California. Why are the new Star Wars movies superior to the original trilogy? Yeah, I think I have an idea why. Based on what your answer is, whether or not you would be considered. Hold up your fingers to show us how many STDs you are being treated for right now. If your answer is 0, chances are you are not gay. I'm assuming that's what they're saying. I don't know. Anyway, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you love Chick-fil-A? 0 is acceptable. That is, once again, we know which end. If you're 10, you're probably not going to qualify. Please demonstrate for us the electric slide. Ooh, well, that's not really right, because I know a lot of black people who are not gay who know the electric slide, or people who just go to weddings. How about that? Does the city of Sodom in the Bible sound awesome or what? Yeah, if it sounds awesome to you, yeah, you probably qualify in the state of California. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it. Okay, so folks, we're here now at the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to do one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We have Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Party, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. The best in concealed carry tactical holsters on the market can be found at hogholsters.com. That's HAWGholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun would be at uscombatgear.com. And one last one, make sure that if you want to get your 2A News in your inbox, please visit 2anews.us. That's 2anews.us. All right, folks, that's it for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Till then, y'all have fun. Stay safe. We will see you mañana.